Hi, this is your host from the Insect Museum of West Sussex, and today we're going to be looking at one of the most popular insects in the world, the ladybug. I'm going to talk about what they like to eat, how they live, their predators, and I'm also going to dispel some myths along the way. So let's get into it. The first thing we need to look at is where do ladybirds live? Now ladybirds are found all over the world. There are only very few places that have not got ladybirds, and they come in all shapes and sizes. And even though we call them ladybirds because most of them are red, there are actually many different colors. They can be yellow, they can be orange, they can be black. It all depends on where you are in the world. Now I know here in the UK we are familiar with these small, roundish, shiny, brightly colored ladybirds. But did you know that in America there are ladybirds that are 4 or 5 times bigger than ours? And sometimes it can get confusing because we get ladybirds here in the UK that can be very large, but they're usually more elongated rather than round, like the ones you get in the US. Ladybirds love to hide during the day, especially if it's a sunny day, because they get really hot and they don't want to dry out. So they will spend time hiding underneath leaves. They'll hide underneath twigs and grass. They'll go underneath stones, and they will seek out any kind of shelter that they can find because they don't want to dry out. You'll often see them gathering on certain plants, particularly fennel and umbelliferous plants. These are plants like parsley and dill. These sorts of plants have small white flowers that are grouped together in an umbel, hence the name umbelliferous plants. And the ladybirds seem to really like these, particularly when they're young. And so you'll find them gathering in large numbers. You might also find them on the undersides of leaves because again, it's a little bit damp there. It's a little bit humid. And also they can catch the aphids that are growing on the underside of the leaves, which is what they like to feed on. So although ladybirds can be found all over the world, each region has its own native ladybirds. And for example, here in the UK we have 47 species, but only 2 of them are native. Those 2 species are the 7-spot ladybird and the harlequin ladybird. We also have in the UK the cream-spot ladybird, which used to be known as the 10-spot ladybird. However, it's not native to the UK. It arrived here in the early 1990s and has been spreading across Europe ever since. It's thought that it arrived here by stowing away on imported goods from Eastern Asia. And it's a massive bug. It can be up to 18 millimeters long and they have 26 legs. They're orange with black spots and they are, of course, not native here. So if you see one of these, please don't release it into the wild because it could potentially become invasive. All ladybirds are predators and they all feed on other insects. And the main insect that they feed on is, of course, the aphid. Aphids suck the sap out of plants and they excrete a sugary liquid called honeydew. And this is what ladybirds love to feed on. So you'll often find them congregating on plants that have lots of aphids. On other insects that ladybirds love to eat include greenfly, blackfly, the larvae of sawfly, and even the eggs of other insects. And now, let's talk about reproduction. Most ladybirds mate during the summer. They usually find a leaf that is nice and new and unfurled, and they will scrape a line along it. And then once they've scraped this line along it, they basically carve out a little divot and they put their eggs in there. And they will lay anywhere between 100 and 1,000 eggs. This will depend on the species, but also it will depend on how much food they've got. Eggs hatch after about 3 to 10 days and the young ladybirds are called larvae. Now, the larvae are not like the adults. They're not shiny, they're not hard like a seed. They're very soft and squishy. And instead of having 6 legs, they actually have 3 pairs of legs. And they are voracious eaters. They can eat up to 600 aphids per day. And they go through 4 instars before they pupate. This means they shed their skin 4 times as they get bigger and bigger. And then finally they pupate and they stay in this stage for about 5 to 10 days before they emerge as an adult. Now, some ladybirds don't lay their eggs in a line. And the most interesting way of laying eggs is done by the Asian ladybirds. They take a leaf and they roll it up into a tube shape, and then they poke several holes along it. And then they glue their eggs into those holes. And when the eggs hatch, the larvae simply fall out of the tube. Now, even though ladybirds are eaten by many animals, including birds, reptiles, amphibians, fish, and even mammals, there are very few predators that will eat ladybirds because they're very toxic. They produce this toxic substance called cantharidin, and it comes from a chemical reaction inside the ladybird between glycine and the sulfur-containing amino acid but they get this substance from the food that they eat, the aphids that they eat, and this makes them poisonous. If you were to eat a ladybird, you would get very sick. Your mouth would go all numb. You'd have difficulty speaking, and even breathing could become difficult. And if enough were eaten, you could even die. Now, because ladybirds are so beneficial in the garden, feeding on pests such as aphids, there are people who actually farm ladybirds commercially and then release them into their gardens to feed on the pests that they have there. Now, ladybirds can fly up to 100 kilometers in a single day, and they navigate using the sun. So if you've got a problem with pests in your garden, it's a good idea to put out a few ladybird rafts. These are simply little pieces of wood or stone with a little dish of water next to it, and the ladybirds will drink the water and they'll stay in the area. There are up to 5,000 species of ladybird described in the world, but that may be an underestimate because there are probably around 10,000 species yet to be discovered. The most diverse group of ladybirds is found in the Indomalayan region, and this includes Southeast Asia and Australia. And the most diverse genus is the Coccinellini tribe, and they're found in both the northern and southern hemispheres. Now, if you find a ladybug in your garden, it's a good idea to leave it there, because it's doing a very beneficial job for you by eating pests. Also, never try to keep a ladybug as a pet. They have very specific requirements, and most importantly, they need live aphids to eat. So it's not a good idea to keep them as pets. The oldest record of a ladybug in amber is from the Baltic region, and it dates back 15 million years. And the oldest fossil ladybug dates back 23 million years, and it was found in France. Now, did you know that ladybirds can be infected with a fungus, and this fungus turns them into zombies? Now, the fungus is called Ophiocordyceps unilateralis, and it slowly takes over the ladybug. And eventually, the ladybug climbs up to the top of a plant, and it bites down on the stem, and it dies. And then the fungus starts to grow out of the top of the dead ladybird, and it starts to infect other ladybirds below it. Now, I'd like to share with you one final myth. Now, there is a myth that if you turn a ladybug over in your hand and it doesn't fly away, then you will have good luck for 7 years. And the origin of this myth is unknown, but the tradition has existed since at least the 16th century. But the story goes that if you capture a ladybug, then it will grant you a wish. Or alternatively, if a ladybug lands on you, then this is a sign of good luck. Well, please don't try this because it's not just ladybirds that are poisonous. But also ladybirds can fly very fast and they can sting. If they feel they are being threatened, they can squirt out this toxic liquid from their abdomen. And it's not just ladybirds that do this. Many other beetles can do this as well. Now, in my opinion, I think it's best just to leave ladybirds alone, because even though they are small, they can squirt out this liquid, which can make you very ill. And also, they're doing a great job in the garden feeding on pests. And that brings us to the end of our video today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please remember to hit the like button. Also, if you've got a question about ladybirds or any other insect, please contact me and I will do my best to answer it. Thank you very much.